it's time for our special feature. A special feature is always a philosophical bit of something that's been bouncing around my mind for the past week since we last spoke, and doesn't necessarily arise out of a direct question that someone has put to me, but it's something that's been on my mind. And what's been on my mind recently is the concept of faith and trust, which I've spoken about before in the context of business. But I was thinking about it recently in such a way that it really lends a whole different dimension and a very utilitarian dimension to faith and trust. The first thing I'm going to do is share with you how I define faith and trust. The second thing I'm going to do is to add a third word to really make this a trio. And the final thing that I'm going to do is equate this. This is the heart and soul of what I wanted to share with you today. To equate that to something that will rock your world. I define faith as a choice made in the face of no evidence whatsoever. A leap of faith. No one had to provide me with reasons to do something, to make a decision, or to make a choice. I did it because I did it, and that is all. A leap of faith. I define trust as something that is earned through consistent performance over time. Naturally, faith and trust are in alignment with different sorts of contractual terms, with different sorts of techniques for managing risk. There is a third word that I want to add to faith and trust to really make this a trio, and that is mistrust. Imagine faith is in the middle. Let's say we have high trust over here and we have mistrust. I would dare say that most business relationships, whether it's service provider and client, whether it's vendor, supplier and customer, whether it's employee and employer, most business relationships start on some kind of foundation that is closer to faith than anything else. At some point, you've heard some words that indicate if I join forces with this person, something has a decent chance of being better for me. At this point, there have been very few actions. And without actions, I assert that there can be no trust. So at the beginning of a business relationship, it's really more about taking a step in faith. What happens after that, though, is very much a measure of performance. Does the relationship grow in health because all parties are keeping their promises, making promises and keeping them? Does the relationship weaken in health because one party or both parties are failing to keep their promises as the relationship was designed? If someone signed on for an audit and they're complaining that they didn't get a tax return, well, you didn't sign on for a tax return. You didn't sign on for a tax return. Or if someone placed an order for 10 widgets and is complaining that they didn't get 10 widgets and 4 thingamabobs, okay. You have to look at really how the relationship was designed, which is a topic for another discussion. Are you really expecting something that you've asked for? If you're expecting something that you didn't ask for, we should have a private coaching call. And if one or more parties are not acting in alignment with how they deliberately design the relationship, then we get into an area of mistrust. And frankly, if the relationship was not deliberately designed, then you don't even know where you are. And if you don't know where you are, that really is a problem for this mind-blowing thing which I'm going to share with you right now. I'm going to assert that along this line of this spectrum of faith, trust, and mistrust, we have a parallel spectrum of financial value. When you take a step in faith, you don't necessarily know what the financial value is going to be ultimately. It's a question mark. As the relationship's trust grows because parties are keep making and keeping promises, I assert that the financial value of that relationship strengthens as well. Maybe you're a service provider and you're keeping your promises, and so you're increasing the chance of cross-sells, upsells, and boom, referrals. Maybe you are receiving services, you are providing to your service provider everything that's needed, the documents, you're doing the activities needed in order to have that service provider help you. That puts your organization in a position of getting an ROI on your vendor's services. Ching! There are a lot of other ways as well that a business relationship that's high trust is correlated with exceptionally high financial value. Now let's look at the downside. If one party or more is not keeping promises, does it not decrease the financial value of the relationship? If someone's not doing what they're supposed to do, is the company going to get the ROI? If an employee signs on to do XYZ role and then doesn't perform that, then the organization employing that person will not get a return on the investment in that the financial investment in that relationship. If the employee signs on and is trying to do everything that the role requires, but isn't getting the information needed, or not timely, or it's wrong, then that doesn't work either. And ultimately, the ROI isn't there. And you're going to have more turnover, for example. And that's also costly. There are a lot of ripple effects from trust and mistrust. Now, there's another part of it here. In the moment in which someone makes a mistake or causes some kind of other divot in that trust relationship, there are two choices. That person is either going to take responsibility, make a time-bound specific promise to remedy the situation and get back on track, or the person is going to engage in rationalization or avoidance. That damages trust, that pushes us down into mistrust, which decreases the financial value of the business relationship. Now, admitting to a mistake and coming clean and making a time-bound specific promise to restore that doesn't necessarily have to have you in a permanent ding. In fact, that can even strengthen the trust in the relationship, depending on really how this is presented and how quickly it's presented and how quickly the resolution happens, because then the other party knows and has more confidence that, you know what, if there are mistakes or zigs instead of zags, at least I know, at least I have that level of certainty that this person is going to come clean. And whether you service clients or whether you have vendors that you work with, whether you're an employee or an employer, the knowledge that somebody's going to come clean and make good on it can put you in even a higher degree of trust. And if we're equating trust with financial value, it means that coming clean about mistakes can increase your value to a client, increase your value to an organization, increase your value as a leader to someone who's following you, increase your value as someone on the front lines to the people to the leaders who are there supporting you. Now, there is one thing here which is going to put a big red bow on all of this. In what areas of your professional life, and if you feel like going there, in what areas outside of your professional life are you behaving? Are you speaking, acting, and making choices as if a relationship were high trust and high value, when actually people are breaking their promises to you? When in reality, there is agreement regarding how things are going and the other party is not, in fact, honoring those agreements. You're living in a reality in which you think it's high trust and high value, and it's not. It's low trust, it's mistrust, and a low financial value. And you're either going to ignore that and continue to suffer working a relationship that you think is high value and getting a negative return on that, or you're going to close off the relationship. You'll say, this is not working, we will complete this, and we will each move on our separate ways. Or you will get together with the other parties and explore this. and see if you can create a new level of performance to increase trust and increase financial value, to get all parties back to the table and design what's next. You may see a different solution when you look at different areas of your life, different areas of your business. It's not true that one of these three is best for all situations. Get clear on where you are operating up here in a situation that is actually, in reality, down here, and create that alignment. Create that alignment by getting everybody back onto the same page or saying, let's complete this, we're done here.